Jamie Gruber. Welcome to the Multifamily and More Expert Series. This is a series where we dive into a specific topic, either related to multifamily or more. So today, we're going to talk more on the more side of our networking crew here. And I want to welcome in our guest, Austin Linney. Austin is one of the owners of Kaizen Rentals. It is a short-term vacation rental company operating out of Texas, but they own or they operate property all over the country. And Austin's going to get real specific with us on some short-term rental specific topics. But before I get there, Austin, welcome. You want to introduce yourself anymore? Please do.
Thank you, Jamie. Happy to be here. My business partners live in San Diego, so Texas and California.
Beautiful. So you guys are all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Well, let's dive into this. So in this group, a lot of folks are either multifamily owners or aspiring multifamily owners, right? You know, we want to buy property, get that long-term lease signed. Kind of the traditional method is what we're thinking about. On your side of the world, you've got Airbnb, VRBO, these different companies that are providing a platform for guys like you to operate and make a lot of money. It feels like between the two, there could be some sort of marriage. What does that look like for you? And, you know, how would you describe what that marriage looks like?
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing, talking to multifamily developers is they have a long-term strategy and they know those numbers, and those numbers are firm and they can live off those numbers. So when you talk to a multifamily investor, he just can't wrap his head around Airbnb. And so nor do they want to do it, nor do they even want to get involved with it, hunting down cleaners, the whole nine. But the upside can be very beneficial for them if you partner with a company like ours. It doesn't have to be us. Mike Sorgan in Boston's doing it great as well. So everybody has their own niche, and we can take the load off your shoulders and give you that extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month that could really look good on your bottom line when you go to reposition it to sell it.
All right, but let's okay. So I'm a multifamily owner. The things that come right to mind for me are, so I'm going to be renting out my place to people who are coming for a bachelor party once a week. It's going to be a revolving door, noisy. There's, all of that stuff is a big concern for me. So how do you address that for owners?
So first thing we do is every unit that we have a noiseware system. So I get a text message if the noise gets above a certain level. And then you can tell the guests like, hey, quiet down. If they don't do that, then you resort to calling the cops, or your cleaner comes over, or et cetera, et cetera. A lot of those things that happen, I'm not saying they don't happen, but for the most part, those are splash stories on the news. I would say that 90% of the guests are very cordial, not loud at all, and really just looking for a place to lay their head separate from a hotel.
Yeah, it's the future, man. Hotels have become a bit, I don't know, archaic, I guess, in some way, right? Like, if you want to go for 2-3 days, especially if you're a corporate traveler, you got a little kitchen, you're not eating, salty, fatty food every night. You can go to the grocery store, get a couple of things, and you've got your own little space. So definitely there's benefit to it in that regard. I can see that. So financially, give me an idea if you can. So if I'm a multifamily owner and I'm going to charge X dollars per month, what kind of return, if you will, or how much better can you do if I partner with a guy like you?
So there was one that we just ran the numbers on in West Virginia, and you're thinking West Virginia, like who wants to Airbnb in West Virginia? I mean, don't worry, I thought the same thing. It was a 7-unit, and we were going to go in and we were going to co-host the entire building, and the numbers look ridiculous. It was $11,000 gross a month off the 7 units.
Wow. Yeah.
And so they almost look like they're not real. And so that's another issue that you have with that, because it does, if you're doing that, would it benefit you, and we'll dig into this deeper, would it benefit you to lease the entire building to us instead of us manage it, which is a whole different scenario? Because if we lease the entire building and took on the risk ourselves, then you would have your 2-3 year tenant and you wouldn't be worried about it. And so basically you would have a property manager leasing your unit, because unless the ceiling falls down or the AC breaks, I'm not calling you because I'm going to fix the problem myself because I have guests coming.
So yeah, let me think about that. So real quick on the 7 units, there's a lot that we got to unpack here for a second. So 7 units at 11,000 gross in West Virginia, that's like 1,600 a unit a month. I'm assuming the rents aren't that high on that property.
No, the rents aren't that high. We're looking at one in Lubbock right now. It's like $700 a month per unit. We're seeing $2,500 to $2,200 a month per unit.
That's crazy.
So what it does, it's funny because the more and more I talk to multifamily guys, it gives them that extra cash flow. So
Yeah.
when they position it on their books and they go to resell it, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so it's just that extra little 700, 600, but you have to partner up with a company that knows how to do it because the ins and outs of it are a little tricky. So it's almost like a marriage. It's like a partnership. You're basically renting or co-hosting or leasing it to a property manager pretty much.
Is the structure of these fairly standard? Meaning, is it just a 50-50 split between your company and the owner, or does it kind of?
No, so it's actually better for the owner. So the owner doesn't charge us any fees. Like he doesn't charge us rent. He takes care of the bills, et cetera, et cetera. Generally, we do a 70-30 split, but a lot of times it's 75-25.
Okay, so essentially I own the building. I'm not collecting like long-term rent. I don't have leases in place. I furnish these units as the owner, and then I say, take it to you guys for your time. You grab 25% of all gross income. I get 75% of the gross income, or whatever, 70-30, 75-25, essentially.
Yes, sir.
So in that example of $2,500 a month versus $700 a month, right? I'm getting 3/4 of 2,500. Boy, I got to do that math. So 3/4 of 2,500, like $1,800 a month gross. I'm taking it. It's 1,100.
Yeah, bills and stuff, but yeah, but yeah, it's. I mean, you're looking. I would say that you're looking at probably 5 to 750 easy off. So these are apartments, so it's not a house. So you're not, unless it's just in like the beach, like San Diego or Pacific Beach, you're not going to get that crazy return. But we do have 2 units in one building in Pacific Beach, and the rent is $1,900, and we're projecting 5,000 to 6,000 during July and June.
That's unbelievable.
So why wouldn't that property owner who has 2 buildings, which he's happy to lease to us, but why wouldn't he jump in on that with us? And then because we don't have to come out the capital, it allows us to pick up more buildings.
So, okay, the other part you mentioned was about the jump in NOI for the owner, right? So the owner sees a much larger NOI as a result of using it as a short-term rental. So you're saying essentially that you go to refi as a multifamily owner, you use this NOI divided by the cap rate, and your building's value goes up by whatever it may be.
Yep.
That's crazy. Okay, so there's an upside on a month-to-month basis. There's an upside on a valuation basis, and it sounds like there's an upside in a couple of different ways. Go back to this for a second. You talk about renting the building.
So this is what I learned last week when I was in Sacramento talking to a GoBundance guy. He said, listen, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind that money. He said, but what I'm looking for is stable rent so I can go to my lender and say, listen, I have the building leased for 3 years. Give me a lower term. I'm going to refi. So a lot of these bigger companies are going in and they're renting a 14-unit apartment complex and they're taking the whole building. And that way they're on a 4-year lease, 3-year lease, because they can control the neighbors and they can control the building. And so you as a multifamily owner, like we would love to take an entire triplex, an entire quadplex, just take it all, because you can rent out each unit or you can rent out the whole building to wedding parties or stuff like that. So it's a benefit to long-term multifamily guys, because we're going to rent, if the numbers are good, we're going to rent between 2 and 4 years.
Wow, that's a good point. So are you, when you rent out the whole building, are you paying market rent, or is there a discount?
Market rent is established, and you're into that deal. Now, I will say this, just so we're not hiding anything from anybody. We put an addendum in our lease that if Airbnb is outlawed, where we are no longer able to operate, we have 30 days to vacate the property.
Okay. All right. So market rent, it's the whole building is leased, and then you run it, but I'm not paying a management fee.
No, you're merely just getting your rent every month, and you call it a day.
No, so you are. So I'm saving 10%, right? Because I'm not paying
Yeah.
the management fee because
You're not paying the property manager. You have a property manager renting it.
Yeah.
Basically. So it's a no-brainer. I mean, I've talked to guys in New Braunfels, Texas, who has 20 homes, and he says, "Why wouldn't I just let you rent every home?" He goes, "I'm going to move to Italy and disappear." He goes, "Talk to me in 3 years."
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, and you know what? That whole Airbnb outlaw thing, it's like Uber, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna crescendo, and then it's gonna go the other way. Uber did the
It's
same thing.
unfortunately, people need to understand, and you can read the news and you can do whatever. It's not going away. Like it's not. And to be honest with you, it's actually getting smarter and it's moving quicker. And then you have states like Arizona where they're 100% on board.
Yeah.
And then not to mention you have small towns where they make 90% of their revenue off people coming for Airbnbs.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the economy's booming because of it. Absolutely. All right. So my I don't know if it's my last question, but one of my last questions will be, so I'm a multifamily owner and I'm thinking, this sounds really interesting. Leasing out my whole building or co-hosting and, getting a 75, 70, 30, whatever it is split. But yeah, you mentioned West Virginia. That doesn't feel like an Airbnb spot. Maybe mine is, maybe mine isn't. Like, how do I know? What are some attributes I should be considering as to whether or not my property is Airbnb worthy?
So the first thing I'll say, there's a lot of answers to that, but the first thing I'll say is the number one thing I say to everybody this is the first thing I say. It's not on you to judge what the market yields. I thought Lubbock numbers were going to be terrible. We looked them up and they're amazing. So, I mean, who know? I live in Texas, so who knew?
Right.
What you're looking for is downtown walkability. You're looking for lakes. You're looking for convention centers and military bases. But the greatest thing you can do is find somebody like me and give me the addresses and let them run them through the properties. And then that way, And so you're not living this world going, well, I think it could Airbnb. I don't know if it could. We're going to give you real data that says, yeah, I mean, this is great. This guy sent us over 9 units today, and I had to look at the numbers 3 times because I didn't believe it. The average rate between the 9 properties was $650 a night.
Wow, $650 a night?
A night. There was some as high as $850.
Is this
This is San Diego.
Oh, I was gonna say that's got to be a heck of a market. If you told
But
me that
still,
was West Virginia,
no, but still, I mean, like I'll be honest with you, we've seen some amazing numbers in northern Michigan.
Yeah.
Like it, so I mean, it's just everybody tries to wrap their head around it. You can't. I mean, it's one of those things that the business on itself, the numbers drive multifamily investors crazy because they can't wrap their head around it.
Yeah.
And so it's just,
no,
it's simple. Yeah.
No, that's great, man. That's fantastic. I think this is valuable information for any multifamily investor. Like, I'm in Michigan, as most know. We have groups everywhere, so hopefully a lot of people see this. But if I'm talking about my own market, Michigan, I think the story on Michigan is there's a lake 6 miles from anywhere that you are at any given point in time. There's that many lakes. Mm-hmm. So if you're on a lakefront or on a lake or near a lake, there may be a lot of opportunity for owners in this state to take advantage of something like this. So if people want to, they're hearing this, they're curious, they want to at least start to explore this, how do they get in touch with you? How do they find you? What do they do?
So I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. You can easily find me. I'm a member of the group too, so you can find me in there too. But the best way to do it is our website is kaizenrentals.com.
I'm sorry, Kaizen rentals.com, correct?
Yes, sir.
Got it. There it is.
Kaizenrentals.com. And you can go on there. We have a property form. All you do is put in your property. It sends us to us. We run the numbers. We send you an email back. It's as simple as that. But the bigger thing I want to let everybody know is I'm here to help. Like, we're not in this business to take everybody's business, although we will. But we just want to add value. And this Airbnb game it's new. And I don't care if it's been around for 9 years, it's new and I'm learning every day. So you know, you just, if I can make somebody an extra $300,000 a month where they can go buy another unit, another property, another single family, that makes me happy. Because
Absolutely.
then we have a partnership for life, and we're just continuing to go.
Yeah, and you and I chat quite a bit, and I absolutely would endorse that. I know that about you. You know, you're in it to yes, of course, you're in it to make money and build a life for yourself, but your mindset around that is giving value to get value. So yeah, I completely agree with that. So
And something that I've hit on lately, just because I want to add the most value I can. What we're finding is a lot of real estate agents reach out to us, and when they're looking with a buyer, they will ask for our opinion on the Airbnb numbers, because something that might not work as a regular rental is a home run as Airbnb. So they might pull the trigger on a property they probably wouldn't have pulled the trigger on.
that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. That's great, man. Well, great. I really appreciate this. You know, again, kaizenrentals.com, Kaizen. I'll put that in the notes on this presentation, and reach out, guys. If you're curious about what Airbnb could be for you, you know, it's all about different strategies, different exit strategies, different ways of operating. You know, think outside the box a little bit. Sometimes the traditional method isn't the best method, and there's a whole new world out there with this short-term rental business that, you know, you get in on the ground floor, which as much as you hear about it, we're still ground floor. Or, you know, you're going to be kind of the last guy in town, not doing something, 1 unit, 2 units, whatever, making a little extra cash flow using this strategy. So reach out. And Austin, I appreciate you coming on, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, brother.
Bye,
Have a
man.
great day.
See ya.